My name is AP, and today we are going to be doing the input for our window class. Now, I'm going to be doing it in the window class because GLFW is already there, and so let's get started. The first thing we got to do is we got to make two functions that returns if a key has been pressed or not. So we got to do public void is key down, and we're gonna put in a key code. So I'm just gonna change that to Java doc. And what the heck? Okay, that's just weird. So actually, I'm gonna quickly run that. I can fix that issue real quick. There we go. Now the key down, and we're gonna make another one called MouseDown. So let's go down there. That is MouseDown. Now what? And I'm just gonna call it mouse button. So what we need to do here is we need to return glfw.glfw get key, and it's gonna take in our window, which is what we have, and the key code. And so, oh yeah, I gotta change this to Boolean, and also this to Boolean. Ah, crap. And then we have to set this equal to 1 because the function right here returns an integer instead of a Boolean. Hopefully this gets fixed, but if not, we can just deal with it. So the next thing we gotta do is we can just copy and paste this. Instead of key code, it's mouse button. And instead of get key, it's get mouse button. So mouse button. And that should... Now, this is not all we want, because if that happens, then I'll just... If window.is key down, let's just say glfw dot... let's do A. Oh, if it's down, then it would work, but it's going to run every time we press A, so it's going to keep doing it, then let go, then go in. So what I want to do is, if it's pressed, I want it to only do for 1 frame. If it's released, I do it for another frame. So how we do that is we have to do another Boolean variable, is key pressed. And it's going to take an int key code, like before. And we're going to have another one called public Boolean is key released. And that's also going to take in another key code. So the next thing we got to do is we actually got to fill it in. So it's going to return if is key down. So if the A key is down, for example, and well, actually we've got to make 2 arrays. I'm just going to keep writing it here. Keys, and then key code, which is the index, is not equal to is false. That means, so I'll explain this real briefly. So what this basically means is that if the key is down, so say if the A key is down, we're going to add it to an update function. We're going to do for int I equals 0, I is less than glfw.glfw key last, which is basically returns how many keys are available, and increment by 1. We're going to set the keys of I is equal to is key down, and then we're put I in there. So what this basically does is it goes through all the keys that are available, and if one of them are down, we're going to set it to true. If it's not, then it's going to set it to false, which is probably like most of them going to be set to false. So we actually got to create a array list. So private Boolean array. It's going to be called keys. That's new Boolean array. And it's going to have how many keys that are available. So LWJGL key last. And we're going to have another one. It's going to be for mouse buttons. And we're basically going to do the same thing down there. So we're going to call it mouse buttons. And instead of key last, mouse button last. So we're going to go down here to the update. We're going to basically copy and paste this. And instead of key last, it's going to be mouse button last. And instead of keys, mouse buttons. Instead of is key down, is mouse down. So this is basically the same thing as this, except for the mouse. So now we're going to go down here to is key pressed. We're going to copy and paste this down here. And if key is released, it's basically the opposite of it. If the key is not down and it was there last frame, which is what the keys is storing, it's storing what buttons were pressed last frame, then it will return true. If it's not released, then it will return false, or if it wasn't there last frame, it will return false. So the mouse is basically the same except mouse. So is mouse pressed, is mouse released, and mouse button. I'm going to copy and paste this down here and put in all of these, and mouse buttons, and mouse buttons. And now instead of key down, it is mouse down, and same thing for down here. So now we have 6 functions that tell us if the key is down or not. And so we're going to create 2 more, and these are going to be the last 2, and it's going to be the get mouse X and get mouse Y for the coordinates of where the mouse is on our screen. So it's going to return a double. It's going to be get mouse X, and we're going to have another one called get mouse Y, obviously. Get mouse Y. And these are a little bit different from up here because we actually got to create a buffer, a double buffer. So double buffer, and basically what this does is it's like an array list, but it's not stored in the virtual machine. It is stored in the memory of GLFW. So we can make a buffer, double buffer is, and we can do buffer utils dot create double buffer, and it's 1 because there's only one value going to be in there. And we're going to import this, import double buffer, and we're going to do the same thing for up here. And then we're going to call glfw.glfw get cursor position. It's going to take in our window. It's going to take into xpos, which is buffer, and it's going to take into ypos, which in this function is going to be null, but in the y it's going to be buffer, and that's going to be null. And then it's going to return buffer dot get and 0. So it's going to return the first and only value in the buffer. And then we're going to do the same thing for down here. So I'm just going to copy that, put it down here. And instead of buffer being in the X position, we're going to put it in the Y position, and this is going to be null. So that should be all the functions we need for input, and the window class is almost done. So in the next video, we are going to be doing the game loop. So because some computers run programs at different times because performance and a desktop computer can do way better than a laptop, and so we're actually going to do some input here. So instead of is key down, we're going to do if window.is key pressed, and same thing, glfw.glfw key A. We're going to do system.out.print line you have pressed A. And I'm going to copy and paste this for the release too. So if key released, then it's going to say you have released A. So, and now we're going to do some mouse button and mouse position one. If window.is mouse pressed, and we're going to say glfw underscore mouse and left, the left mouse button, the one you're clicking with, and we're going to print out system.out.print you press the left mouse button at, and this is where we're going to put our coordinates in, plus window dot get mouse x plus comma, because I like my commas, plus window dot get mouse y, and then plus in parentheses. So what this is going to do is it's going to give us the coordinates of where we clicked. And if window.is mouse released, and the same thing as this. What? No. See. Boom. System.out.print line you released the left mouse button. So there we go. Now we have all the input. So now if we go to our console down here, if we press A, it says you have pressed A, but I'm still holding on it, so it only does it for one frame. And if I release A, it says that I released A, which what we want. Then if we go to here and I press the left mouse button, it says you've pressed the left mouse button at this coordinate and says you've released the left mouse button, and I did. Also, this got to be line because I want you guys to see it. Get rid of this one. It says where the mouse coordinates. No. Oh crap. It says the mouse coordinates, and we have pressed and released it. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial and it helps you. And I'm going to do game loop in the next episode. So, bye.